Welcome children. In the second video of the lesson ecosystem, I will be dealing with the topic decomposition. So to start off, let's define decomposition. Decomposition is the breakdown of complex organic matter into simple inorganic substances like carbon dioxide, water and nutrients. Right from the lower classes, you are learning what is decomposition. In simple words, you have put it as degradation of organic matter, but you should now remember correctly from complex organic matter to simple inorganic matter. Now, before going into the steps of decomposition, we have to learn two important terms, namely detritus and detrivo. So, what is detritus? The dead plant remains such as leaves, bark, flowers, etc., etc. So, whatever falls or detaches from the plant and falls down, like the green foliage, anything from the plant, or the dead remains from animals or even the fecal matter constitute detritus. They form the raw material for decomposition. So, what is detritus? It can be from the plants or from the animals, all the dead remains. From plants, it can be the plant as a whole, the dead body of a plant, and also the fallen portions of the plant. It can be the flower, the leaves, the bark, etc. And animals, again, the entire dead body of the animal, or it can even be the fecal matter from animals. This constitutes the detritus, and this forms the raw material for decomposition. Next, detrivo. What are detrivos? Organisms that break down detritus into smaller particles are called detrivo, and very famous or very popular detrivo, we know, the friend of the farmer, that is the earthworm. So, very important detrivo is the earthworm. Any green foliage or dead, drying, decaying leaves or foliage is degraded by earthworms. Beside earthworms, there is a millipede, dung flies and wood lice. So, let us start off with decomposition. So, remember detritus and detrivo, very important components for decomposition. The important steps of decomposition are 1. Fragmentation, 2. Leaching, 3. Catabolism, 4. Humidification, and 5. Mineralization. The first three processes or first three steps occur simultaneously on the detritus. So, now we know what is the detritus. It is the raw material for decomposition. It can be the dead body or parts of the dead body, plants or animals. So, this fragmentation, leaching and catabolism occurs simultaneously. It is not like after one step it moves to the second step and third step. No, it is being acted upon simultaneously. But the fourth and fifth occurs in sequence. Once after these three processes have acted on the detritus, it is humidification. Then after humidification, it is mineralization. So, let us get started with the steps of decomposition. Very important, 5 marks or 3 marks question. So, the step when we learn first fragmentation. So, fragmentation, if I put this as a leaf that has fallen from the plant, not leaf that is attached or intact to the plant, it should be fallen, it should be a dead part. This is a detritus. Now, we call this as detritus. Now, this is broken down into fragments. See, if I break it, you can see different fragments. And this is done by the detrivo. So, that is called fragmentation. Very simple, the breaking down of the detritus into smaller particles by the detrivo, like the earthworm. It is just broken down into pieces. That is called fragmentation. Next step, leaching. The second step, leaching. What happens during leaching? The process by which water soluble inorganic nutrients go down into the soil horizon and get precipitated as unavailable salts. So, what happens? It gets broken into finer and finer fragments which are not visible to the naked eye, and due to the natural forces like there's a water flow or something, these go down into the soil horizon. Major part gets leached into the soil horizon, not available as salts. Third, catabolism. Now, it has reached very favorable. It occurred in the surface, fragmentation, as well as because of leaching it has went to the soil horizon, deep into the soil strata. There we have our microbes, namely the bacteria and fungus, which enables further decomposition. So they need not come onto the surface to do the decomposition. Due to leaching, it's brought down. The process by which the detritus get degraded into simple inorganic substance by bacteria and fungal enzymes. So now our bacteria and fungi within the deeper layers of the soil, they act on this leached organic matter and convert it into the simple inorganic substances. So we got our product here itself. Complex became simple, organic became inorganic substances. So that is done mainly by the bacteria and fungus. So these three processes are occurring simultaneously. Then what happens is the fourth step, humidification. It is the accumulation of a dark colored amorphous substance. Then what happens is further action, it results in the production of a dark colored amorphous substance, which is called humus. And then the humus is converted into minerals. Humus is further degraded by microbes, and finally we get the minerals. We get a number of inorganic nutrients or minerals by the process called mineralization. So we can see microbes are involved. Bacteria and fungus are involved in the last three steps, whether it is catabolism or humidification or mineralization. Bacteria and fungus are responsible for bringing about the further degradation of the simple inorganic substance, and finally we get the minerals in the soil. So this is a very, very important essay question. So remember the 5 steps, and depending on the marks you can elaborate, but the 5 steps, the marks are split into, and it comes as a part of a question, then you see accordingly incorporate the other parts. So anyway, in this slide we have learned the process, what is decomposition, the 2 important components of decomposition, that is detritus and the detrivo, and the last step or the last is the steps involved in decomposition, which is very, very important. So I'll move on to the next slide, which deals with the factors favoring or factors influencing decomposition. The factors affecting decomposition can be broadly classified into chemical factors and climatic factors. So it's very important or very easy for you to remember C and C. So one C is the chemical factors that influence decomposition, the other one is the climatic factors. So first let's see the first C, that is the chemical factors. So we can see what are the chemical factors. If chitin and lignin are present in the detritus, it lowers or slows the rate of decomposition. Whereas if nitrogen or waste soluble substances like sugar is present in the detritus, it increases the rate of decomposition. So we saw the presence of certain chemicals favors decomposition, and the presence of other chemicals retards decomposition. So what retards decomposition is lignin and chitin, and what favors or enhances decomposition is nitrogen and sugars. So that is dealing with chemicals. Now climatic conditions. Climatic conditions, for favoring decomposition, the climate should be an aerobic climate. What is aerobic climate? Climate with abundance of oxygen. It should be aerobic, it should be warm, as well as it should be humid. Or moist. So this is our climate. The tropical climate is warm, humid and aerobic. So it favors decomposition. So these are the climatic factors which favors decomposition. Just the opposite factors will retard decomposition. So opposite of these factors, aerobic and aerobic condition, warm, cold, opposite of warm, cold, humid, dry, retards the rate of decomposition. So it's very simple. Think of our climate. How's our climate? Warm, very sticky, so humid, and rich in oxygen, aerobic climate. So that favors the process of decomposition, whereas the anaerobic, cold and dry climatic condition retards the process of decomposition. So I am Reading as the points given, large amount of oxygen is required for decomposition as energy is required for the process, whereas the anaerobic condition inhibits decomposition. Then the other factor, warm, moist environment favors decomposition, whereas low temperature and dryness inhibits the process of decomposition. So I gave it in simple. Remember, aerobic, warm, moist favors, and the factors that retards or slowers the rate of decomposition, just the opposite. Aerobic opposite, anaerobic. Warm opposite, cold, and humid opposite, dry. Retards the rate of decomposition. Similarly, dealing with the chemicals, remember the chemicals that retards the rate of decomposition, that is chitin and lignin. Therefore, we can see the shelled creatures on the beach. They may be how many years old, but they did not, the shell has not got decomposed. For many, many years, they get deposed on the bank, they do not get decomposed. That's because of chitin, lignin, etc. Retards the rate of decomposition. Whereas, if the substance present are nitrogen and sugars, it gets decomposed easily, like our flesh, our dead bodies, they get decomposed easier. So that is dealing with chemicals, and the latter half is dealing with the climate. So this is also a very important slide, factors affecting decomposition, very simple, climatic and chemical factors. I hope you have understood this topic dealing with the process of decomposition as well as the factors influencing the rate of decomposition. Thank you.